Well, I just found out recently that Nick Cannon has a morning show, and I came across this video, and I really liked the topic because I thought it was something that most people can relate to, and I just wanted to just share my personal experience and my thoughts on that subject. Now, after listening to what they had to say about this subject, um, they all had a difference of opinion, but at the same time, I feel like both sides were right. I didn't think that anybody was wrong when it comes to this subject because, like, traditionally speaking, if you speak to your elders, like your grandparents or your parents, they thought, I guess back in the day, they thought that shacking up before marriage was a bad idea, for, obvious reasons. Now, Nick just said straight up, he thought that, I guess shacking up or living with a person, prior to getting married was just a bad idea. His co-host, the guy with the glasses and the guy wearing the hat, he basically just, he told a story about how he met his wife. I think he said they were dating for like 5 months. And I guess what happened was it got to the point where, he invited her over to his place and he was just like, just move in. And for him, he said it was a good learning experience because he got to see what she would be like prior to getting married. Because you see a lot of times you see people get together and they rush in to get married and they get married for all the wrong reasons, and then it doesn't work out. And then you also you have to think about all the trouble you have to go through if you're going through a separation or a divorce. You both got to hire lawyers. You got to separate I guess like money and like property, assets, whatever you guys built during the marriage or whatever. You have to go through you have to separate all this stuff, and then the things get messy. It gets real messy or whatever. Now, if you didn't, but if you take your time and really get to know a person prior to getting married, those relationships, I mean, they tend to last longer, and sometimes those people stay together. They learn to, they find a way to reconcile and work things out. So I guess his point was, he was like, "Hey, I got a chance to see what my girl was like prior to getting married. So I knew she was the one, and I had a good idea that things would probably work out between us because I knew what she was like before we got married." Now, and the girl that's sitting next to Nick, I think her name is Melissa. She was basically saying that she's had a chance to experience things on both sides of the fence. She has been married before, and then also she knows what it's like to be in a relationship and live with a person prior to getting married. And she's basically saying she felt like it's a good idea to get married first as opposed to living with a person before you get married, because when she was living with her boyfriend, she felt like there was less commitment. I guess because, her boyfriend was already living with her and he was getting all the benefits that a husband would get. So I guess I guess in a way that kind of made the guy lazy. Like, I guess he wasn't working as hard to make the relationship work, and he was just, maybe he was just slacking off and not doing his duties as a partner. And I totally get what she was talking about because, I mean, even right now, I've never been married before, and I don't want to be in a situation where I'm getting married for all the wrong reasons. So I don't want to rush into it. I want to make sure that I'm with the right person before I get married, because it is something that I want in the future. So, and I was talking to one of my friends about it, and it was like, the only difference is kind of like, is if you marry a person, it's harder to walk away because of that process that it takes to go through a divorce. It could take months to go through to finalize everything. But then it's like if you live with a person, you can live that same lifestyle and never get married. And then it's kind of like if you decide to break up for whatever reason, it's easier for you to walk away. That's pretty much the only difference. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to hire a lawyer. There's no paperwork. It's not really maybe it'll cost you a lot of money as far as like moving expenses. You know what I'm saying? If you guys are sharing a house and you had to move all your stuff out into your new place and all that. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's easier for you to walk away. So in my case, when I was dating the mother of my kids, well, around the time when my son was born, the relationship, I mean, it was moving kind of fast in the beginning. Like, we really didn't know each other that well. And I guess what happened was, like, 3 months in, she got pregnant with my son, and then she suggested that we live together. I was kind of hesitant because I wasn't sure it was going to work because, like I said, we really didn't know each other that well. And at that point, we were pretty much just going with the flow, and we were just trying to make the best of it and just, we wanted to make things work. And ultimately, the relationship lasted 4 years, and we broke up. And, I later learned that we really wasn't a good match, but we actually made better friends than partners. But that was something that, I learned over time. And it took us living together for me to realize that, because when you live with a person and you're around a person 24/7, you get to see how they are. You get to see how that person is day in and day out. You learn all their habits and, their likes, their dislikes. But I guess the main thing is, your main thing is like when you're with someone, when you're living with a person, you have to, I don't know. It's about being patient and just learning how much you can really tolerate, how much you can deal with. Especially because a lot of people have bad habits, and it's not always you're not always gonna have good days. You're gonna have bad days too, and then you have to learn to be able to take the bad stuff too, the bad with the good, and whether or not you can deal with this for the rest of your life.